Hi, Armenia. This is Tunjan coming to you from an empty airport in Paris, France. I just landed here from Stockholm, Sweden, and I'm headed to, well, also France, but south of France. And I thought this is the perfect opportunity to talk to you a little bit about some tips and tricks and things I've learned throughout traveling, taking the plane, specifically since I have the whole airport to myself, and also because I will be here all night. It's 11:30 p.m. right now, and I will be here for 7 hours, so put your seatbelt on, pun intended, and enjoy the ride. Enjoy the flight. Have fun. I will not be talking to you for 7 hours, but I thought, for a little bit, I'll talk to you. Okay, let's get into it before I get really, really sleepy and start saying some weird stuff. Okay, let's start with booking your flight. So for me, I try to always fly with budget airlines, so check if that is available. And also the way I search for the flight is through Google Flights. A lot of people go to the airline websites directly, but for me, I try to go to Google Flights, and then when you see the dates, especially if you have flexible dates, it will show you the cost per day, like under the dates, and then you can then select the dates that are the cheapest. So always check with Google Flights. When it comes to after booking your flight with the luggage policy, they're not all the same. I actually made the mistake with Transavia once where the luggage allowance was 10 kilograms total when I thought it meant just for the little carry-on, but it wasn't, so I ended up having to pay to check that carry-on luggage. So make sure to check the policy. They're not all the same, so keep that in mind. Don't forget to check in online for your flight, because a lot of the airlines will actually make you pay to check in at the check-in gate if you did not check in online beforehand. If there are any issues with the checking in, like little technical issues, screenshot to show them that you tried to check in but it didn't let you, and that way they will not actually charge you to check in at the airport. With Transavia, it was mandating me to actually reserve a seat for extra charge if I'm checking in online. So I just screenshotted that, and then I checked in at the airport with no extra cost. So make sure to not forget to check in, usually 24 hours before the flight. And also don't ignore emails and messages you get from the airline until your flight, because sometimes things change and they let you know through emails. So make sure to check those until the flight, and then after the flight you can just unsubscribe to them, because they will probably be asking you to book more flights and send you deals and things like that, unless you want to stay subscribed to them. That's totally up to you. Now that you've booked your flight, let's talk about packing. If you are a light packer like me, you want to make sure you're packing layers, and also when you go to the airport, you wear a lot of these things, so it's not counted towards the luggage. This happened to me multiple times. But also make sure to check the weather at the place that you're going to. Don't assume it's the same weather as the place you are. When I went from Armenia to Syria, it turned out that apparently it was summer weather in Syria when I packed things that I was wearing in Armenia, which was not very smart of me. But anyway, it all worked out. For example, let me show you my transformation from Sweden to south of France. And I'm ready. Another thing to keep in mind to make your journey at the airport more seamless is that at the security, they will ask you to remove your laptop as well as your anything that's liquidy, which keep in mind you cannot bring with you anything that's more than 100 milliliters of liquid in a bottle. So if you're bringing perfume, face cream, toothpaste, anything like that, it needs to be less than 100 milliliters. I think it's liters. Anyway, put them in a Ziploc from home, and just you can just remove it and put it in a separate little tray thingy at the security place, and then it's easy for you to take it out and put it back in after you pass security, as well as your laptop. Make sure you put it in an accessible place, because they will 99.9% of airports, they will ask you to remove them, and then you will have to put it back, and then just it's crowded, there's people, just to make everything easier. And now that we're at the airport, there are a few things to keep in mind when you're passing or you're going to the airport. pretty much all airports are the same. There might be some exceptions, but the main 4 steps that you do when you go to the airport is you go to the check-in counter of the airline that you're flying with. Make sure you go to the right terminal. This is one of the mistakes that happen with big airports. So when you're going to the airport, go check the terminal that's on your boarding pass, on your ticket or your booking page, and go to the right terminal. And then when you arrive to the airport, you go to the check-in counter, and then you pass security, and then you pass passport control, and then you go to your gate, to the boarding gate. So these are the 4 main steps that you do at an airport. Just keep them in mind. But also, some airports might be different, some airports might be different, or if you're flying, let's say, within Schengen countries, then you will not go through passport control. So there might be some differences, but those are kind of the main steps at an airport. If you buy alcohol at the duty free, you are not allowed to open the bag that they give it to you in until you arrive to your last destination. When you're at the duty free shop, make sure to ask the people who work there to double check the regulations of how much alcohol or tobacco you can bring into the country that you're going to, and also let them know with your boarding pass where you're going to, if you have layovers, and they will package it accordingly. So just these are little double checking things that I like to do, because even if I check online, I sometimes don't know if the source I'm checking is correct. So I just ask the people who work at the airport, because it's their job and they will give you the right answer. So there you go. Make sure, I know this might sound too obvious, but make sure you're taking the right passport. If you live in a house where there's multiple people who live there and you're traveling, just open the first page and make sure that you are taking your own passport before going to the airport, because this actually happens all the time. As well as check the expiry date of your passport. A lot of times we forget that, it's a 10-year passport or 5-year, whatever, we forget to check. So make sure before you book your flight that you have at least 6 months valid passport before your flight date. It's important to know your rights about flight delays and also lost luggages. Based on which country or which country this airline belongs to, there are some rights that you have, if the flight is delayed more than 3 hours, or if they lose your luggage. For example, with Air France, I get lost luggages all the time. Shout out to Air France. And what they have to do is they have to compensate for the expenses that you incur, is that a word? Because of the lost luggage. If you have to buy an extra winter jacket or something while you're there, keep the receipts, make a claim, and they will have to reimburse you for these expenses, as well as if they damage your luggage, and they have to deliver the luggage to the place that you're staying to once it arrives. Usually it arrives a day or 2 after, hopefully. Again, Air France, I'm literally standing in front of the Air France counter, so I hope they still let me board the flight. But in Chene, make sure you check your rights, and don't let them take advantage of you, because after all, you are paying a lot of money, and lost luggage could actually put a bad start to your vacation. So ask for your rights. I will try to include a couple of helpful links in the description. There's a few websites that help you claim a reimbursement if there is a delay in your flight, because I get targeted with their ads all the time on my Instagram. So I will try to find those and put them in the description for you. One thing before I go, usually, so if you are flying with a budget airline, they will not give you free water on the plane. So bring an empty water bottle, because remember, you cannot bring anything over 100 milliliters. Now that we've learned, I think it's a liter, through security. So bring an empty water bottle and just fill up your water, fill up your bottle with water from the airport. Usually there are fountains. If there isn't, make sure the water of the tap water is drinkable of the country that you're filling it up from. But usually there are fountains. Some places they don't. But anyway, bring a water bottle and make sure you have water when you board the plane. Or you can also, anything you buy past security, like chips and food and cookies and water bottles or juices, you can actually take that with you on board of the plane. So something that I do all the time. Don't assume things will be open like food places, because apparently if you arrive during these times, it's not open. Nothing's open. Pack some food, or if you have the chance to eat on the plane, or just plan accordingly. I will be staying up all night here. So vending machines will be my go-to, and this escalator thing is very squeaky, but hopefully you guys can hear me okay. With that being said, give yourself enough time to get to the airport. If you feel like you are at passport control and it's taking too long, notify someone, because if you have less than an hour left to the departure of your flight and you're still stuck in passport control, there's a big chance one of the agents will actually bring you to the front of the line. So make sure you speak up and let someone know that you're stuck in a lineup and you might miss your flight. What I want to leave you with is, first of all, safe flights, and I hope you guys have an amazing vacation or trip, whatever it is that you're traveling for. But if you're still watching, I do want to ask you a very important question that I think about every single time I'm flying. When they make the announcement for the boarding, why do people rush to line up and like get on the plane quickly, fast? Because like if you just sit down and wait, then you're just sitting down and you're not carrying your bags. But if you're standing, it's like one more lineup that you have to stand in. But the seats are assigned seating. So if someone can let me know, why do people stand very quickly or line up very early for the boarding? I would love to hear your thoughts on that. Thank you so much for watching. Love you guys. Bye.